Warning: the following podcast is utter nonsense and may cause agoraphobia, kleptomania, insomnia, and oppositional defiance disorder. We are required by law to provide you with this disclaimer for hazardous materials.
Welcome back to another at-home episode of Hazardous Materials, last week's comics this week, wherein we're not going to be talking about last week's comics this week because we're still not getting comics. What we are going to be talking about is part 2 of our review of the first 18 or so issues of the New Mutants from, I believe, was it 1985? 1984? 1983.
Yeah, got me
One
on
of
those.
I think it's 1983. Anyway, where we left off was New Mutants number 8. The teens had finally found themselves in South America with Bobby DaCosta's mother, who is on an adventure there, where she ends up disappearing. And whoa, what's up with all these tribesmen trying to kill us? What's up with the tribesman that's a white girl now? So that's where we kind of left ourselves off of, was the introduction of Amara Aquila, who will later on become essentially the replacement for Karma.
And also being introduced, the absolutely bug nuts crazy concept of Nova Roma,
Yes.
which is a ancient Roman colony in South America that has not advanced technologically at all. So it's all ancient Roman architecture and gladiators, dudes in armor. It's so weird.
It's comic books.
Like, people say Inferno's weird. No, Inferno had years of build-up to it. This just throws you right in the deep end. Oh, by the way, there's an ancient Roman colony in South America, and we're all just going to be playing Gladiator for a few issues here.
This came out of nowhere, and if I'm not mistaken, this is still Claremont's work.
Yeah, Claremont's still on the book.
Claremont's going to be writing all the issues that we're looking at here. We got Sal Buscema is doing the art on this one, and I think Bob McLeod has finally stopped doing artwork or ink work on this.
Yeah, Tom Mandrake's the inker now, and I'm a huge Tom Mandrake fan, so I'm very glad to see him. I've never seen him ink anyone else's work before, and it's pretty rad.
I was really surprised because as a kid, obviously, I wasn't really paying attention to who did whose art, and I really didn't until well around the time when artists were like the big thing, and Jim Lee and McFarlane and all that stuff. And I kind of went back and then realized what comics and artists were really making me happy when I read it. And I've discovered that pretty much anything that George Perez drew, I bought. There's all these random Perez covers of Superman with OMAC, or this Miss Marvel issue, all done by Perez, and it's all stuff I bought.
Yeah.
So I must have loved his stuff.
Dude is a king. Always, let's say, when you hit that point in your collecting, when you start following creators over characters, that's it's like a whole new world opens up to you.
And that's the reason why I was buying new Teen Titans. When they introduced Cyborg and George Perez was doing all those things, it's like, wow, these are beautiful.
Yeah, arguably his best work. I'm partial to JLA Avengers, but I mean that's a miniseries versus an ongoing, so.
And it's still beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's got that great iconic shot of Superman with Captain America's shield and Mjolnir in his hand.
JLA Avengers is just one of the best books ever.
So it was great.
The only crossover that lives up to the hype.
True. And this is that was their second attempt, because they tried to do it years before and even had drawn it up, and somehow things just went to shit. Probably because Jim Shooter opened up his mouth. You know what a class act he was back then. Probably the guy that wrote Avengers 200.
At it again.
Yeah, it's always gonna be about that.
Let's say.
Anyway, back to what we're talking about.
There's a lot of political intrigue where you've got Amara's dad, who is a senator, I believe, right?
He's a senator, but he's in their caste system, he's still considered a plebeian.
Yeah,
I guess. You've got the main senator, who name escapes me, but he's like the one that has Selene as his.
Yeah, the villain of the piece.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find his name, because I'm going to be honest, a lot of the Nova Roma stuff I just kind of skimmed over because it's so much. It's so bizarre. Not super sensical. It really feels just, it's like 4 issues long too, which is pretty hefty for a 80s story arc.
Yeah, but I always feel, to me, like it could be encapsulated into like a few sentences. Hey, that girl's white. Hey, she's in Nova Roma. Hey, we're all under mental mind control. Hey, there's this 1,000-year-old vampire mutant that's doing it. She's bad. We should stop her. We've killed her. Let's take this kid home.
Yeah, that's another weird thing is that this is Celine's first appearance, which blew my mind. So I just assumed she first showed up in those racial stories that John Romita Jr. drew in Claremont's X-Men run. But no, the Black Queen, the vampire psychic, is right here in Nova Roma, and I guess after getting thrown into a pit, she's somehow makes her way to the Hellfire Club.
Yeah, in the pages of New Mutants, a lot of stuff happens in New Mutants. Like,
I know.
We're talking about Shadow King, his true return to form, happened in New Mutants number 6.
After his first, and he had first shown up years ago in like X-Men 117, I think.
You nailed it. That was his first appearance. His second appearance is New Mutants number 6.
Very fun issue. I love on the Legion show when they did a recreation of that Charles, like an outsider perspective of the Charles and Shadow King fight, where like they're just sitting at dinner and then he just keels over dead.
Yeah, which was what happened in 117, from my understanding.
Exactly. Yeah.
I never got a chance to watch all of Legion. I watched like most of season 1, and I heard really good stuff from it. But I've always had problems watching movies and TV shows that are basically stream of consciousness.
It's very bizarre, but I love it. Legion's one of my favorite shows going. The showrunner Noah Hawley does Fargo, which is absolutely my favorite show on the air right now.
I love me some Fargo. Are you looking forward to that Chris Rock season?
I am. Yes. Oh my God. That first trailer looks so good.
It's so good. I was heartbroken when it was about to come out, and then boom, this COVID thing just completely sabotaged it.
Noah Hawley is supposedly still maybe attached to the next Star Trek movie. Like last update was, he's like, yeah, I'm still working on my script for it, and hope it happens, because genuinely one of my favorite writers working right now in TV and movies. So,
well, Star Trek's got a weird thing going on behind the scenes. I watched this other YouTube thing called Midnight's Edge, which has kind of a deep variety. I'm talking variety as in like the newspaper variety. Take on entertainment. They go really deep and talk about like meetings that are being handled and memos, and this is what's really going on. And they're talking about.
I take that with a grain of salt. If someone's telling you, I've got secret information that my uncle at Nintendo told me.
I always go in there going, okay, great. It's more doomsaying for Star Trek. But yeah, they're all talking about the fact that, Netflix might buy Viacom CBS and therefore buy Star Trek, and all these Star Trek shows that they tell you are coming out aren't really coming out. And then like
considering we just got a formal announcement for
exactly a week later, boom, Strange New Worlds comes out. And I'm like, oh my God, it can't get more official than having the freaking 3 actors that are involved in it doing camera shots of them talking to how excited they are. And I'm super stoked because Captain Pike is the man.
Yeah.
I'm safe to say Pike before Kirk. Pike before Kirk, and I've said it. I'm standing on it. That's the hill I will die on.
Nuclear hot takes over here. So back to our Nova Roma friends. The boys are thrown into a gladiator pit while Rain is seated comfy up above, because she is believed to be
the
not
incarnation
only of what's his name? What's the wolf?
Julius Caesar.
Not only Julius Caesar because of her red hair, but also of the wolf that what's the word I'm looking for? That nursed Romulus and Remus.
Yes, that's right.
So they got a twofer with the werewolf girl.
Yeah, so they got her on this big throne. They got her on this parade, and I guess that the villain of this piece, Senator, what's his name that we don't know yet?
Senator Marcus Domitus Gallio.
We're gonna call him Senator Gallio of Ernest and Julio Gallio. So he I guess he's trying to do his whole keep your enemies closer bit, because he's the one that's given her all these accolades. And I guess because he's trying to turn the side of the crowd with him, because easily they could turn on him because of all this crazy shit that's happening in the
and once everyone reveals their powers, he goes down the arena as like, yes, both of these boys win, as they're the chosen champions of the descendant of Julius Caesar. And so they get a parade, and he starts trying to play them against Amara's dad. And
oh yeah, it's like I saw that guy. It's kind of giving you the stink eye, Senator Gallio. And it's like, yes, he is but a plebeian, but Senator Aquila. He is a ne'er-do-well and all this other junk. And so, well, you find out later on that while the two senators basically are doing the same kind of work, they're both senators. There's an organization that's fighting against what is seen as the oppressive regime of the senators, and Amara is part of this organization. So, and that's one of the reasons why she was dressed the way she was, because
doesn't make it better, but that was part of it.
That
was the intent. And meanwhile, also because what this book really needed was an extra, was something else going on in Nova Roma. Selene is doing human sacrifice stuff into a lava pit that they have, and she throws Amara in there, and that's when Amara's magma powers activate. And it's a really stunning page. It looks really cool. That is one thing you cannot take away from Amara, is how damn cool her powers look. Like if someone took Human Torch and made it look like
super cool,
50% cooler. Yeah, she's got like just this really neat pattern of strong reds and yellows. There's no like blending of the two. They're all very stark and set against each other, almost like a zebra, like a really dead zebra print.
Do you remember when the Scarlet Witch took all those mutant powers away? Obviously, you do.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember how it affected her?
No, I do not.
I read a small story where basically Amara had taken in a mutant lover who had very similar powers to her own. He could withstand heavy heats and stuff like that. Kind of a Human Torch analogy. And they're like in the heart of this volcano talking, and he loses his power.
Oh my God, that's absurd.
It's awful. He just vaporizes right in front of him.
Terrible.
It really is. And that's
just one of many just like pointlessly cruel things they did to the X-Men in the mid 2000s. Like that's absurd.
It really is. It scarred her for the longest time, and she had
I bet.
Scarlet Witch. Yeah, it's a horrible B story.
You know what happened to the Chamber during M Day?
Yeah, he got his jaw back.
At first he didn't. He didn't have a jaw.
They had to do like surgery.
He didn't have his jaw and his chest. They were just gone because he didn't have his explodies coming out. And I think Elixir or something had to.
He was in the hospital, right? He was in the hospital, and Elixir had to stabilize him because he suddenly had this massive wound in his chest. Oh my God!
You ever just think about how pointlessly cruel House of M was to secondary mutants?
Yes,
all the time.
Let's find the ones where their mutations actually involve them staying alive and just remove it the wrong time.
That Civil War era of storytelling where it was like, hey, do you know what's cool and adult and serious? Misery and
death.
No one gets to have fun ever again. This is serious business for adults. So there's lots of violence and sex, and sometimes they say a swear, but nothing over a PG-13.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes the Punisher walks in and totally murders a couple of guys. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Poor Goldbug and Plunderer.
But in fairness, that Fraction stuff does have the scene where he shoots a bazooka up at Stiltman's crotch, and that's hysterical.
Poor Stiltman is the brunt of every horrible storyline.
That's why what's it called? That gathering's happening is because it's Stiltman's funeral.
That's right. And Bullseye I crashed it, and Punisher crashed it after he crashed it.
It's Fraction's Punisher is I love it. I like when Punisher is thoroughly embedded in the Marvel universe. So it's like, as much as I enjoy Ennis's stuff, it's very clearly like a separate take that's not supposed to be really joined with the Marvel universe at large. But
because Punisher was all killing like mafia hitmen and stuff like that. But it wasn't until Fractions run where Punisher started going after costumed criminals. It was like, who would have thunk?
Remender's run. Did you ever read Remender's run right after during Dark Reign? That
when Franken Punisher or something like that.
This was right before Frankencastle, I think. Either right before, I think right before. There, Remender does create Frankencastle, but at first the gimmick is that the Punisher gets a hold of a bunch of superhero tech, and so he has like a discount Captain America shield, a Goblin glider. He has an Ant-Man belt and helmet, which he uses to sneak into a mob van by having a pizza delivered to them, and he's hiding on one of the slices, and then grows up when he's inside the guy.
Because when you grows up and you grows up and you grows up, fucking Punisher. Well, there's my F-bomb of the episode.
That's enough about the Punisher. The New Mutants team up with Magma, and they beat up Selene, and they save her dad from the bad senator. Meanwhile,
fun thing is that the Senator Aquila saves his own ass.
He fights him with his sword.
Yeah, it's like, you thought me being short and fat was going to save you? Man, I know how to fight.
I love this line that their duel would seem to be no contest. Surprisingly, it is. And then, gives him the old
electro maneuver.
Say the blade that pierces the skin, but not the shirt.
Yes,
because you can't show it when going through the body. You can only imply that it is
the electro maneuver.
Exactly. And so, the kiddies get out of Nova Roma, and Roberto finds out that his dad wanted someone to kill him and his mom. And we finally get back after that very strange detour. Oh, also Selene is thrown into the lava hole, and everyone's like, sure hope we don't see her again. They will.
One issue.
I wish it had a little end credits thing of Selene will return.
Or, like the end of Flash Gordon, where somebody picks up Ming's ring, ?
So Bobby confronts his dad and is like, I want nothing to do with you. And his dad's like, fine, I'm going to join the Hellfire Inner Circle.
So I was going to do it anyway, but thanks for making me.
Now I don't feel bad about it, jerk. And then Magma has a difficult time adjusting to the modern day, and being out in the direct sun, not in their weird pseudo underground city, whatever the deal was, makes her kind of overheat, and then that makes volcanoes erupt, and she's blowing up the streets
because she has sunstroke.
Yeah. And so,
of course, the heat-related mutant gets sunstroke.
So the New Mutants got to get her some ice, and Sunspot carries a whole truck of ice to dump on her.
This is what's called a filler book.
Yes, it's a fun issue. I just don't have a ton to say about it. It's New Mutants number 12. Again, Magma looks awesome, but
a great cover. But I remember reading it and going, eh.
It's the mutants playing baseball issue. You got to have that break after we went through the absurdity that was Nova Roma for 4 issues. Thank you, Claremont and Buscema, for giving us a nice break. And then we get to 13, which is more of Amara adjusting. Sentinels come back. Oh, 13 is the first appearance of my boy Doug Ramsey, my favorite New Mutant, who's not a mutant yet.
No, and I always have trouble trying to find out when it's actually proclaimed he's a mutant. And so far, the only thing I've been able to find is 14, when White Queen just casually mentions the fact, oh, by the way, Doug is a mutant as well. And no one reacts to it.
Yeah, it's weirdly understated because Kitty doesn't know that he's a mutant. And that's a whole... Yeah. And she actually, in 13... I should go back. 13 is mostly a Kitty Pryde spotlight issue because it was answering the question that fans at the time had, which is, well, if we've got a whole team of teenagers, why does teenager Kitty Pryde get to hang out with the X-Men?
Why does she get a pass?
It's because Kitty Pryde rules.
Yeah, and that's when she terms the term X babies, which they don't take too well.
The cover, forget it, kitty. You're not good enough for us X babies. That is, of course, Sam Guthrie.
Because he's invulnerable while he's blasting.
He is not invulnerable in blasting. But yeah, we get a lot of nice soap opera-y stuff with all the kids having their love triangles as teenagers are wont to do, while Kitty and Doug are being teen hackers.
Yes, the TRS-80 versions of hackers. and man, Doug's got that Ken hair.
Let's get Matthew Lillard as Doug up in here. That's all I'm saying.
Poor Doug, man. Doug just got completely shit on during his first few appearances.
I love this. So
Cypher is beloved now. Everybody loves Cypher.
Yeah, because he's cool as hell.
Back in the day, when he was still alive, like his first life, no one gave a shit about him.
Y'all were just too blind to see what was right in front of you. So for those who don't know, Cypher's whole deal is his mutant power is he understands any language. And some boring folks are like, well, why does he get to be on the X-Men? That's not a cool fighty ability. He just talks to people. Yeah, that's like the coolest power ever, especially because it's any kind of language. So he can do complex computer coding and hacking. He can do cool martial arts based on its body language. Like, Cypher rules. He's one of the best New Mutants.
But at the time he was alive, we keep saying that because, spoiler alert, he gets shot and killed later.
Yeah, we get like a good 30 issues with him. So
yeah, but most of the time he's hiding behind trees. He's not fighting.
He's not a fighty boy.
I mean, even in his very last moments of life, he jumps out in front of somebody who's about to shoot Rain and catches the 2 bullets in his rib cage, and no one even sees him get shot. No one even sees him die. Essentially, he dies alone on the ground. And all that can be heard is Rain not even looking at him, just complaining about the fact that he's out and he should go back and hide somewhere. And then that's him sitting on the ground going, "It's okay, Rain. I'll never do it again." And just fucking dies. Dude, you're going to do some editing today, Rob.
I've heard Louise Simonson talk a lot about how there was a lot of pushback for non-combative characters. And it was something that she wanted to develop and then got kind of cut short. She did make the choice to kill Cypher, but the issue is so well done. And frankly, with how obnoxious I can assume a lot of people were about, hey, why is the Taki kid still there? I don't want to see him. I want to get a guy like Wolverine on the New Mutants. Now that's a superhero.
Now
she brings up that point again a couple years later on X Factor when she turns Angel into Archangel, because Angel faced similar complaints to Cypher in that people are like, well, he just flies around. He's not useful. Like, because we classify people based on the utilitarian use, I guess.
So.
So there was a noted push to make Angel a more combat-ready character. So they gave him scalpels for wings so he could fly around and shoot people with them.
He basically became a big flying Wolverine for X Factor.
Yeah, and he even got some memory erasure and angst to boot because people love that Wolverine, so why don't we do blue Wolverine with wings?
So while we're talking about Cypher and how everybody at the time apparently largely hated Cypher and were continually screaming for him to be killed, and Simonson finally kills the character off in darkest fashion. You know, like I said, they didn't even see him die. You know, at the end of the fight, they're like, "Oh, hey, where's Doug?" And they go over, "Oh, he's dead over there in his own pool of blood." That happens. That's the end of the issue. So, what's the cover of the next issue? What could possibly follow something this dark? This joyous piece of crap.
Hey, it's a great piece. It's an awesome cover. It's just a little tonally inconsistent with what came before.
Yeah, I mean, you see all the kids smiling and waving at Bird Brain, flying home without Doug. Big smiles. Everybody's happy. Even Warlock apparently is all joyous. He's like a plane and stuff. And so tone deaf to the previous issue.
They're just happy. I guess they're just happy Doug's gone. I wonder if that wasn't like an intentional middle finger to people who want him to die. Like, there, you happy? But I actually realized I misspoke because before Cypher dies at the same time that Archangel debuts, because they both were Fall of the Mutants tie-ins.
That's right. And you could probably argue, oh, well, maybe the artist didn't know the contents of the issue before he drew the cover. Of course he did. Doug's not even in the cover.
Although they could have just erased him.
Oh, God.
We'll have to look at it now to see if there's any noticeable holes.
There's no seats. All the seats are filled, and
but he's Warlock's best friend, so he gets to sit wherever he wants. And there's a little extendo arm who's got his own little sidecar.
Well, Brett Blevins was also drawing the interiors at the time, so I highly doubt that's the reason. And I know that you like Brett Blevins, but I did not like the way he drew the New Mutants. He's got a more cartoony style. Yeah.
And he makes a point to make them look younger as well. And I think with Louise Simonson's writing on the book, I think they fit together because they were wanting to do a book about kids. And especially with wanting to differentiate it more from X-Men. As we're seeing here, a lot of it feels pretty deeply intertwined with X-Men. They wanted to give them their own stuff to do in its own unique tone. And as much as I say, I really love how much these books tie into Claremont's work going on at X-Men at the same time. I also completely understand, well, we can't have two books that are very, very similar going on at the same time. Now, that said, when Sienkiewicz comes on the book, that's a pretty big differentiator from the main title, because then New Mutants becomes pretty close to a horror book for a good 12 issues. Actually, 12 issues.
And I reread the issues today, and I kind of went past the issues that we were going to cover because I know we're stopping right before the Demon Bear. I read all of Demon Bear, and then I read Rain's fairy tale, and I read all that into it. And I didn't realize it, but these books were going on about the same time that Rogue first joined the X-Men and basically did a heel turn. Because what a lot of people may not know, because you've been exposed to Rogue through maybe the movie or the animated series from the early 90s, but Rogue started off as a villain, a straight up villain. And the reason why she could fly around and kick butt in the old animated series is because she stole Captain Marvel's powers and then tried to kill her. Because she was a member of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Because she is Mystique and Destiny's adopted daughter.
Exactly. So that actually went on for quite some time. It wasn't until I think number 173 of Uncanny X-Men that Rogue came and said, "Hey, listen, I can't control my powers. Please help me." And the team's like, "We can't trust her. She's this evil person." And there's this big, long arc of them basically trying to trust her. And one of the issues in New Mutants is the X-Men just popping in, and there's Rogue right there with them, still sporting her villain hair. It's all nice and short with its skunk stripe and stuff like that. Yeah, it's still interesting to me to this day just how much of a heel turn she really was, because she used to be an Avengers villain. You know?
She shows up, wreck shop on the Avengers, goes away for a little bit, and then attacks the Pentagon with Mystique, and an issue where Carol's helping out the X-Men powerless.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I think it's the 170s when she joins the team. So,
yeah, she joined right before Young Dragons in Love. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Secret Wars. So because she's in Secret Wars, if I'm not mistaken. I think she's in that lineup.
I think so. It was right about the time that she switched from green and started wearing that orange outfit.
Yeah,
it's like orange winter wear.
But anyway, after being reassured that Kitty Pryde is in fact X-Men material, and a little bit of Professor X being sad about his lady love having to go back to space, as she is wont to do, we get an issue that I know Casey's been waiting for. Do You Believe in Magic? Where Magic joins the team. And spinning right out of her miniseries, which detailed her harrowing life in Limbo, And now Sim comes back for her. And Sim was one of the many demon tormentors she had. What's his face's
Velasco.
Velasco is like, I was going to say Bellagio. No, that's not his name. Yeah, Velasco is right-hand man. He normally has I'm used to seeing him with a little cartoon cigar in Inferno. I did not see the cigar in this issue.
He didn't have the cigar, but he did have his tiny little black vest.
Yeah. So you know he's a bad guy. He's got his little black vest on, but no shirt.
Yeah, for a long time after that, Sim was basically Magic's henchman, for lack of a better term. He is her right-hand man.
She beats his ass so bad and goes back to Limbo and is like, all right, run shit down here while I go back on Earth and hang out with my friends. Bye.
Yeah. So Magic, Ileana Rasputin, Colossus's little sister, is a mutant that can do large-scale teleportation, where Nightcrawler basically can teleport himself short distances and maybe take 1-2 people tops before he's like starting to pass out. Ileana does discs, where she can take like the entire team and whomp. And when she teleports, she goes through limbo, so we can screw with time and space. So without realizing it, sometimes she can teleport the whole team, and then they'll show up 15 minutes in the past or 2 hours in the future. And so we got a little bit of a time travel concept to some of the storytelling when dealing with Magic during these issues.
She also has a giant Garfield plushie in her room and a Tom Selleck poster.
Because everybody loves Magnum.
Magnum PI is the glue that holds the New Mutants together.
So yeah, Ileana is Kitty Pryde's best friend and will remain her best friend for decades. Even to this day, Magic is part of still the New Mutants team, and she's still Kitty Pryde's best friend.
And one of many, many examples of Claremont's desperately trying to get Kitty Pryde's bisexuality past Marvel censors. He never got there, but it doesn't take a whole lot of reading into to see what he's going for with Kitty and Ileana and later Kitty and Rachel.
True. And I think some of that dripped out during the time that Kitty disappeared in the mid-90s, only to reappear with Karma, who had been gone for years. And then they reveal that Karma is a lesbian.
Yeah. I'm honestly really surprised that they haven't had Kitty come out yet. Like that. It's time. The subtext has been there. People have known it for years.
Honestly, I'm going to out myself. I've never heard of it until you said it.
Oh, you should look it up. Like, there's a ton of writing about it online.
Really?
Not like fanfic stuff. Like actual like people being like, hey, here's all the examples. Here's some queer theory on the X-Men. Like, here are some like readings you can do on it. I know J.N. Miles explained the X-Men, bring it up a lot. That's where I first heard it, and I was like, oh wow, that makes a lot of sense. Especially
she all had masculine partners, and right now she's currently dead.
Kitty? Oh yeah, that's right. In Marauders,
because we haven't had a brand new spicy Marauder issue in months.
Oh my god, I'm jonesing.
I am too.
Where are my Mutants of the Caribbean?
Oh my god, yes. And where are my Hellions? Where's my
That first issue was so good. Well, we're going to get you some Hellions in the next couple issues of New Mutants.
Indeed we are, because right after these 2 issues have primarily focused on Magic and all the fallout that was happening from the 4-issue Magic Limited series. Like, first you got Sim trying to come for her, and then, these demons start spilling out of her eyes because I guess some weird magic teleportation, whatever. That was what was going on.
A wizard did it.
Yeah, we firmly established that Magic is now a big time character. She's not good enough for the top left-hand box. Amara is, but she isn't. But she essentially becomes a member of the New Mutants.
Yeah, she definitely over eclipses Magma in the years to come. But to the point that she gets to be in the movie and Magma doesn't.
Yeah, but then we find out that Doug Ramsey has gotten an acceptance to the Massachusetts Academy,
which is run by Emma Frost, the White Queen. And this is where Kitty Pryde had just dodged a bullet on, but now she's back trying to save Doug. she gets captured again, and so it's up to the New Mutants to save her and Doug.
Yeah, previously when Kitty Pryde had first appeared back in 139, both Xavier's school and the Massachusetts Academy were both petitioning to get her. And I guess when that didn't happen, White Queen, being the White Queen back in the day, kind of forced the issue and did some kidnapping. Some casual kidnapping.
And then also kidnaps Jean Grey and has Mastermind jump through a bunch of psychic hoops to get at some fiery bird that's in there.
We saw how great that turned out. No one reads that crap. Exploding planets and red-suited nightmares. Yeah.
A little-known piece called the Dark Phoenix Saga. But yeah, so here, kids beat up some Hellfire goons, having a good time. It's always a fun time. Hellfire goons.
It just occurred to me. Mastermind died of the legacy virus and can pretty much be pointed at as being the cause of the whole Dark Phoenix thing.
Yeah.
He's alive now.
I didn't even... Is he alive now?
Well, I mean...
I feel like he's pretty low on the docket to get reresterrected. Because I didn't even know he came back to be killed by the legacy virus. I thought he was still a psychic ghost.
They were pulling one of those last minute, hey, I'm trying to redeem myself routines like they did with Pyro.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, they're not going to do it. I feel like if there's any character that's kind of maybe not redeem this guy, it's Mastermind.
Yeah. And this is back to Mastermind.
Creepy psychics. Yeah, creepy psychic sexual predator. I think we can just let him burn, you know?
Yeah. But his daughter came back recently in that Nightcrawler.
Yeah, Lady Mastermind, terrible name, because Mastermind is in fact a gender neutral term. So she could just be Mastermind and not Lady Mastermind.
Well, she was Lady Mastermind because her sister is Mastermind.
Oh.
There's two female Masterminds.
And that's not confusing at all.
Not at all. I think that really came because
Mastermind and my sister, Lady Mastermind.
I think they both came out right around the same time, and writers were both developing the characters without realizing that both of them had the same idea. Yeah, exactly. It was one of those moments. Great. So yeah, you've got Mastermind, who's a dark-haired mutant, and Lady Mastermind, who's the blonde.
Mm-hmm.
But you see Lady Mastermind more.
Yeah, she's shown up throughout the 2000s and 2010s, and she was just in that giant-sized Nightcrawler.
Yeah, and she was like one of the Brotherhood of Mutants with that other mutant Chimera, which we've never seen again.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, we digress because now we're going to talk about the Massachusetts Academy.
Yeah, and this is the real meat of what we're going to be talking today, because this, unlike Nova Roma, is a really fun arc. I love the Massachusetts arc. Yeah, because y'all might know one of my absolute favorite tropes in comics is evil opposites. Bizarro is my favorite supervillain ever.
Yes, and all of my favorite villains are basically just negative versions of heroes.
It's easy and it's fun, and you get some great characters out of it. And the Hellions are no exception, because Emma Frost has her own pink-suited group of evil New Mutants, and they're great.
One could argue that's maroon.
It's pretty pink.
So yeah, they
are rocking some deep V-neck pink Star Trek uniforms.
And for all intents and purposes, yeah, we are talking like the evil versions of them. We got Jetstream, the
evil Cannonball, who can turn.
Cat's Eye, who's kind of like the evil Wolfsbane. You got Tarot, the evil Danny Moonstar, and Roulette, the evil Magic, and yeah. Did you notice how they tried to slut shame or slut up Roulette in every chance they possibly could? Like in the scene where all the Massachusetts Academy kids are all coming out and they're all dressed in their sleepwear, and she's the only one dressed in lingerie.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
Very, very uncomfortable. It's like, come on, guys, these are kids. Let's not go down this road.
I think they were trying to play up the fact that Roulette was, for all intents and purposes, kind of just white trash. I think that's what they were going with that one on that.
I don't know. I just think it was a poor decision.
Well, it's a decision that stuck with her throughout the life of the character.
Yeah, that ain't great. Poor girl.
No.
Roulette deserves better. But one character who not only deserved better, but got better, is introduced here, now known as Thunderbird, but will eventually become Warpath, and then Thunderbird again, and then Warpath again, is good old James Proudstar, brother of John Proudstar Thunderbird. He's got beef with those good mutants because they killed his brother.
Yeah, so he has, of course, all of his brother's powers. So this is the Thunderbird T-Bird Warpath we're going to have for years to come.
I love Warpath. Like he's probably my top 10 favorite mutants. I think he's really cool. And it disappoints me that he's never gets to be like a mainline X-Men too often. He's normally relegated just to X-Force, but he's got a great look. Well,
he's got his vibranium knives.
Yeah, when he's got like when he first joins X-Force, and he's got like the little red fringe. That ain't great. But like in his X-Force outfit later, when he's got like the silver stripes on his chest, he's got the little mask. That stuff rules. I really dug in. I think this is when Counter X was going on, when they put Warren Ellis on Gen X, X-Force, and X-Man to kind of wrap up the rest of the X line before Morrison's run started.
Mm-hmm.
And there, if I'm remembering this correctly, this might just be me mixing up a bunch of comics I read as a kid in my head.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe he gained the ability to fly. There's a whole thing of like, why do you think we use the name Thunderbird? And then he basically becomes
in the last episode, and I was like, I don't remember that.
I want to believe it happened. I gotta dive back into Counter X, but that's a lot of books.
Him get tossed out of planes, because he can take an impact. I've seen that happen.
Let's say next episode, I will have concrete proof that Thunderbird can fly.
You will believe a Native American can fly.
Snowbirds don't fly, but T-birds do.
Oh.
So
a little bit of Alpha Flight shade being thrown there.
That was a Snowbirds Don't Fly was a Green Arrow reference, sir. That's the
really?
That's the arc where Speedy is doing heroin. Snowbirds don't fly because he's doing snow.
You lost me on that one. I was off in another place with Alpha Flight the moment you said Snowbird, and I wasn't thinking Green Arrow at all.
You were thinking John Byrne phoning in an issue and making it all be in a blizzard.
Yep. Oh God, I remember that. Easiest issue ever to draw was the Snowblind issue.
If let's say if I didn't have moral reservations about giving John Byrne $100 for a signature, I'd consider getting him to sign that issue.
Tell me, Byrne, did you do this over the weekend? You did, didn't you?
It's like, hey, I'm giving you $100. Can you sign every panel of this issue? It's a flip book of John Byrne getting progressively more pissed off as he has to keep signing it.
I still want John Byrne to sign my Iron Fist 14, but I want to get a really good copy of it before I do that. And I got to get John Byrne and I got to get Chris Claremont. I got to get those two guys, and then I'll be happy.
And then you can get a Marvel Premiere 15 and get Larry Hama to sign that. It's second Iron Fist. It's when he starts drawing the book.
Oh.
I mentioned it last episode. It's okay if you forgot.
You did. I did.
But
validation.
Regardless, we get some awesome superhero fights in this book. Especially Cannonball versus Jetstream stuff is awesome. It's the best visual we've gotten for Cannonball's powers, especially that who drew it? I know Bill Sienkiewicz inks it because we went back and forth because you didn't believe it was a Bill Sienkiewicz cover.
No, he inked it.
The cover number 17, it is a June Brigman cover with Bill Sienkiewicz on inks, and it's awesome. You get Cannonball doing his straightforward fly while Jetstream is just weaving around him and then decking him in the face, and it's got
one of the best covers ever for New Mutants.
A very striking red background. You've got great contrast with the colors on the kids. It's great. In all time.
I wish that June Brigman had taken over instead of Sienkiewicz, because it looks like I would have gotten the clean artwork that I desired in these kids instead of the inky nightmare.
The wild experimental stuff.
Which I didn't need.
You do need it. You need that culture in your life, Casey.
I didn't need a hexagon-shaped rain head.
You need to have... Sam Guthrie isn't Sam Guthrie unless his head is a perfect rectangle and he's got two giant, D-shaped ears.
This basically did become a trapezoidal head. Everybody became some weird flat. Rain's head had all these flat edges to it, She looked like a rock, a big red rock with a face on it.
We forgot to talk about the biggest bastard in the Hellions.
Oh,
Manuel Alfonso Rodrigo de la Rocha.
A piece of shit.
Just a bastard, man. He controls people's emotions. Essentially, I know they have like a specific wording for what his power is, but basically he can make people pissed off and punch each other and make people love him. Yeah, he's gross and he's the worst, which is why I'm very interested in what they do with him in Hellions.
Yeah, because he's front row and center.
Yeah, he's the only actual Hellion in the book Hellions, and he's still got his bright pink Star Trek uniform. He's ready to go where no man has gone before. And
do you remember that for a while him and Amara had a relationship?
Yeah, no, I didn't remember that. I'm disgusted.
Yeah, they did. It was about the only time he had any redeeming value. But then, of course, when things got inconvenient, he used his powers again.
Jerk. What's the guy? It's not Empath, I don't think. But in the 90s, when Magneto's acolytes were a whole group of their own, what was the guy who was like in second in command? He also had empathic powers.
Well, there was two additions to the Hellions, and that was Beef and Bevatron.
Not those guys. I'm talking about Magneto's acolytes in the 90s on Asteroid M.
Oh, God. I really didn't pay attention to the acolytes.
Fabian Cortez? Is that his name?
Yeah. Well, Fabian Cortez had the ability to boost other people's powers.
Okay. So I'm just misremembering what his thing was, what his deal was. I could have sworn Magneto had like an empath of some sort on his acolytes, but I don't want to revisit those issues because they're not very good, frankly.
No, I think it was a woman, actually. She had a red headband and brown hair.
That sounds accurate. I'm remembering the headband because it went with the purple and red striped outfit. Red stripes on purple, not a good color decision.
No, and this
bad look.
That was
the
back
acolytes.
When Colossus joined them.
Yeah, let's say the acolytes could do many things, but dress themselves was not among them.
Yeah, I was not a fan of the acolytes.
My favorite thing from that era, though, was Colossus becoming an acolyte, just because I really loved him being like, no, Charles Xavier, this is completely inexcusable. You can't just like turn a human into a vegetable. I'm going to take care of Magneto. Screw you, X-Men. I really like that. That felt very in character for Piotr. And I'm always loving seeing characters like actually be critical of the stories they're in and being like, hey, that's not really a superhero thing to do, guys. Like when you have a character who's as morally righteous as Colossus is, he shouldn't go along with lobotomizing criminals. That's really messed up. And I'm glad someone on the team was willing to call him out.
Yeah, and it was one of those rare moments where he basically joins the villain team without any coercion whatsoever. It was a conscious decision. Mm-hmm. And like you said, could arguably be a moral decision. You know, the right choice, essentially.
I would say it was. Professor X has had it too good for too long.
And then Rusty Collins joined the Acolytes and got killed.
Yeah. Is that what wound up happening with Rusty?
Yeah. He joined up with the Acolytes, and then he got killed during that whole Holocaust story.
Oh, yeah.
When they were calling Nemesis Holocaust.
The shortest-lived villain name ever.
Yeah, that I don't know what they were thinking when they decided to call him that.
I think they made the name change when they had to make a toy, and they were like,
we're maybe not calling a toy Holocaust.
Exactly. I think that was the driving. That was the moment it clicked that, like, hey, maybe this was a bad idea.
Yeah, and they called him Holocaust because in his first appearance, he basically killed everybody in a soccer stadium.
Not great. Yeah. So, we got off track.
We sure did.
But we've got the kids are all fighting their respective enemies and having a good time. Taro's bringing out her cool little monsters, throwing out her Yu-Gi-Oh cards and summoning devils.
Roulette's got her little discs of black and good luck.
Emma Frost does some mind whammies on Amara and Cannonball.
Yeah, because when in doubt, I need mutants for my school, so I'm just gonna brainwash them.
Yeah, like you do.
So this is actually one of those times when magic actually traveled into the future, and in the future she found all the new mutants dressed as Hellions and friends with all the others. It's like, how could this possibly happen? And then they go back in time And then they find out that, White Queen's doing the whammy.
And so Kitty Pryde teams up with them. They manage to stage a breakout. And they get caught by the Hellions, but then they're like, hey, let's have a real fight this time where we're not trying to murder each other. Let's just have a good old, like a school football game.
Yeah, so that's, of course, when we see the screen that we got on issue 17 with Cannonball versus Jetstream.
Yeah, I don't know if Jetstream needed to also be a cyborg in addition to being a mutant, but it's cool, and it just stacks the odds more against Cannonball and makes Cannonball's victory even cooler when he just knocks him in the face.
From what I understand, Jetstream's powers injured him. He was one of those mutants that was not immune to his own abilities. So he got extremely screwed up.
Yeah, because he's got like a jetpack on his back. But like
it comes out of his body.
Yeah, like it helps to funnel it funnels his explodey powers.
Yeah, but it was talk about how, he's obviously like Roberto da Costa. He's comes from money. He's from a rich Arab family, and they basically cyborged their kid up after he screwed himself over. And
after the kids, Cannonball wins and everyone shakes hands, and they're all, well, first Jetstream is like, no, we're gonna keep on fighting until I die. And Sam's like, damn it, man, just let us go.
Just let it die, man.
Emma and Sebastian Shaw show up, and the kids just get their ass beat by Sebastian Shaw.
Oh, yeah.
The man is no joke. Like, he can solo the X-Men, so he's just smacking these kids around like it's nobody's business.
Now, something you might not know, maybe you saw X-Men First Class and you saw Sebastian Shaw, and the power he had in that movie is kind of what you're dealing with when you're dealing with the mutant in the comic books. Basically, he absorbs kinetic energy and transfers it into strength.
And he rocks some wild mutton chops.
He does. But the more you hit him and throw stuff at him, he just starts wailing on you. Like that kind of bone-breaking hits that only Sebastian Shaw can dish out.
Yeah. He's got the energy thing kind of like Carol Danvers, but rather than being able to fly and shoot energy blasts, he just beats the crap out of you. Punches you in the heart.
And Claremont always did a great job of writing Sebastian Shaw. I mean, even though he wasn't like a Colossus level strength, when he got charged up and he started hitting you, it visibly hurt. It visibly hurt in the same way that Wild Child's nails hurt back in Alpha Flight number 11. Remember that?
Yeah.
Woof. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to, especially this issue, these past couple ones, I really want to give a shout out to Glennis Wine's coloring, because the colors make such an impact in this book with the Hellions, like hot pink uniforms. You've got Sebastian Shaw, not the actor that plays Winter Soldier, Sebastian Stan, but mutton chopped 1800s nobility cosplayer Sebastian Shaw. Whenever he hits someone, you just get this all yellow and orange panel around him, and God, it makes his hits visceral. There's a great shot right here of Cannonball just full charging him, and Shaw just no-sells it.
Yeah.
You get a big old boom, and then he knocks him back with a whammo.
Mm-hmm.
Very good sound effects. So eventually, with a little help from Kitty Pryde and Cat's Eye, the New Mutants are able to escape the New Hampshire school, or Massachusetts Academy, not New Hampshire. Wrong New England state. They're all the same. Sorry,
awful
listeners. As a former New Englander myself, I could say it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I got some new stuff.
I lived in Virginia for quite a while. So.
Oh, wow. There's where your origins come from. Of course, I also have to reveal myself.
Moved to Virginia, moved back.
Okay. I actually moved to Texas from Ohio. How about that one?
Oh, like Superman.
Indeed.
But anyways, magic gets them all home. It's cold. And there's a demon bear on the horizon. Teasing Bill Sienkiewicz's first issue Danielle Moonstar's Last Stand, and much, much more in Death Hunt.
Which is the basis for the New Mutants movie.
And there's little demon bear as he shows up at the end of this issue. And there's a little demon bear as drawn by Bill Sienkiewicz. So you can see there's quite a bit of artistic evolution between the Buscema.
Quite a difference. Yeah.
Which I can see a young Casey being like, what is this fancy modern art crap? This is, what is this? Cubism?
I did not take it well. I did not take issue 18 well at all. I was 12 when that came out.
Issue 18 is what got me into New Mutants. Because when I first read the book, I was like, it's another 80s X-Men book. I don't really dig this. And I saw the Sienkiewicz stuff and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And Legion's here. And there's a big old bear. And he takes up the entire page and he's got big old triangle claws.
I mean, even though I was a preteen at best, I did know who Sienkiewicz was. Because at the same time...
You had a vendetta against him.
Yeah, I had been reading Moon Knight.
Oh.
Yeah, one of my first issues ever was something that he did. It was when the committee beat the crap out of Moon Knight number 5. And then I kept reading it, and I read, Stained Glass Scarlet, that whole storyline.
I'd say Moon Knight was Sienkiewicz's big break. He started on doing the Moon Knight backups in the Hulk magazine. He didn't create Moon Knight. Moon Knight, I'm struggling to remember who was the creative team on Werewolf by Night that created him. But
Jimenez? Want to say Jimenez?
I don't think so. Doug Munch wrote it. I don't remember who the artist was, though.
And Moon Knight,
that up.
And Moon Knight, of course. Oh, you're right. Moon Knight is actually a product of the relaxed Comics Code Authority that happened back in 1971. Because then we had Tomb of Dracula came out, Blade came out, Werewolf by Night came out, and that's where Moon Knight came out, because Moon Knight was originally a werewolf hunter.
Werewolf by Night number 32 was drawn by Don Perlman with a cover by Gil Kane and Al Milgrom. So pretty good pedigree there. Yeah. And again, Doug Munch on writing, always good for dark stuff like that. And Munch continued writing Moon Knight once he got the solo book as well. So that was really like his baby. But yeah, Sienkiewicz really brought a lot of visual identity to the character. Show my favorite Moon Knight page, the one where he's running over the boxes in the warehouse and they just do like a tracking shot. Really good.
I didn't get into that one. God, right around that time, I think I was reading.
My camera's getting away from me.
It is. I was reading X-Men at the time because the whole Rogue thing was happening. And I was reading Spider-Woman at the time. I was a big fan of Spider-Woman back then. Because mostly Spider-Woman villains were horror-based.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Werewolf by Night shows up a surprising amount of times in that book.
Yeah, actually, I remember being in an antique shop, because for whatever reasons, back in the 80s, antique shops held comics. And my dad would say,
still do.
Yeah, go read comics while I look around for antiques. And I bring out this issue of Spider-Woman, and on the cover is basically her tied to a chair, while Werewolf by Night is basically jumping at her. And I was like, well, what the hell's going on in this one? So I bought that.
Good old Jack Russell.
Yeah.
Werewolf by Night's real name is Jack Russell.
That's not a joke. That's really happening.
So I guess with those 17 issues in the can, we should do a little... Casey, what are your post-reread thoughts on New Mutants graphic novel and 1 through 17?
I discovered there was actually about 2 or 3 issues I flat out do not remember reading. And then it actually made me go back in time, I guess, to remember my reading habits back when this first came out, because I was introduced to New Mutants by this kid, David, at school. He would bring comics to school, and I would buy comics from him using my lunch money or trade him with comics I had. And he introduced me to New Mutants. And he gave me issue 1. I was like, oh, crazy. This is nice. And then he goes, oh, and check it out. That's not their first appearance. Their first appearance is in like this big format book. I'm like, that's crazy talk. And so I got introduced to this all around the time that issue 6 came out. So I missed issues 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I went back.
Oh.
I read issue 2.
I'm glad you got to read them now.
Yeah, I went back and I read issue 2 because Sentinels are in it, and they were like using new colors instead of like purple. They were using grays and blues. They looked really cool. But I did not read issue 3, 4, or 5. And then by the time 6 came around, they got rid of Karma. And I was like, well crap! What the frack?
Yeah, like I said, I just kind of skimmed over these issues when I first tried them out a few years back, because my ex-kids as a child were Generation X with Jubilee and Chamber and Mondo and all those kids, and Grant Morrison's New X-Men with Blob Herman and Beak and Quentin Quire, characters who are still awesome, by the way. Always love seeing those guys pop up in things. And so I didn't really appreciate it the first time I read, because I was like, oh, it's just boring 80s Marvel stuff that's not as good as X-Men's going on at the time. But I have a newfound appreciation of it ever since I did my big Claremont read-through a year or two ago. And I read a few New Mutants issues, and I was like, oh, these are really good. I should go back and check these out. I was like, maybe there is more than just the Sienkiewicz run on this book. And I was really impressed with these first 17 issues. Nova Roma still sucks, though. Like,
God,
I am physically pained when Nova Roma shows up in a book. When New Mutants recently, Nova Roma popped up, and I was like, oh, Lord, here we go. Weird Roman politics. And
I didn't care for it. When we were doing our reads and I got to Nova Roma issues, I literally just did this.
They're
done.
Like, so one of Claremont's greatest strengths as a writer is his ability to layer stories, and especially have multiple ongoing threads while also setting up like a million other things he's going to call back to in 5 years. And Nova Roma is like a complete collapse of that skill, because it's just all of these really weird yet simultaneously boring things going on at the same time, where I'm like, okay, there's an ancient Roman civilization, and also there's a hitman that Bobby's dad hired, and also there's an evil psychic witch vampire mutant ?
Yeah,
And
so
it,
basically
like-
got a big dosage of sword and sandal. At the same time, you've got this greasy dude who seems to like last the entire issue as their B-story bad guy.
Yeah. I wonder how much of it was just like Sal Buscema wanting to draw some like chariots and stuff, and Claremont writing around that. I want to look into what was the thought process behind Nova Roma, because it's wild, and then it just goes away.
It's out of nowhere. It really is just out of left field.
Do they revisit it in Simonson's run or later in Claremont's run?
Nova Roma actually comes back more than once during the empath relationship I was talking to you about. Amara, it happens in Nova Roma.
Poor Amara just gets saddled as if it's bad enough that she's not intrinsically tied to Nova Roma. She also has to have a romance with Empath,
who is just a dirt person.
Did you? Yeah, I'm about to say the worst person she's dated, and that includes Mephisto.
She did date Mephisto.
For one issue, but it was very good. It's one of my favorite modern New Mutants issues.
Bring your camera down, man. We're getting no chin on you at all.
I know, man. My camera setup sucks, and so
okay, we see me in my entire room, and all we're getting at you is like 3/4 of your face.
Well, I think that's a good sign that we need to wrap it up, because
we need to get Gideon a
this
better
camera situations. I'll move my entire laptop down so you can see me better.
Indeed, we need to get you one of these cool cameras like what I got, which is like a Razor, super awesome Razor. Which I don't think you can really see it, but it's got this cool circle light on it.
Wow, man! Do we get those Razor sponsor bucks now?
We're gonna get it now.
So I guess with that, next week we'll be talking about New Mutants 18 through 31 and Annual 1. And Casey, take us away with our normal plugs.
Yeah, annual number 1. Looking forward to that because that is the return of Bob McLeod's artwork.
But more importantly, it's the first appearance of Guido, strong guy.
First person Guido and
also
Lila Cheney,
who is also great.
Who has got the weirdest teleport powers of ever. It's only all long distance.
Yeah, can only teleport to planetary bodies. So she can go from planet to planet, but she can't go across the street.
No, that she got to bounce back and they come back for it. Okay, so little spiel. We're of course involved in all the other social medias. We got our Facebook page, we got our Patreon page. Come and join us and check out our mystery episode that we didn't air. We're also on the gram, doing it for the gram, where we're going to be throwing up tons of images. As a matter of fact, I need to throw up all the images that we used in the last episode, which is by far the most image-heavy episode that we ever did. We even did a video on that one. I was really impressed with that. We're doing that. I've got my own project going on Facebook with My Comic Book Facts, where I try to talk to the layman comic fan about characters they may have been introduced to by TV or movies. Let's see what else we got going on. I think it just about covers it. Gideon, you think I'm do I got everything?
I think that'll do it for tonight.
That is definitely our exit then.
Yeah.
Come back, obviously, for part 3 of our big New Mutants trilogy. And then after that, we're going to have to figure out what our next thing is, because I think we're getting comics. We actually might go back to what we normally do here and actually review some brand new comics. I'm super excited about that. So, that's all for us here at Hazardous Materials. So we'll see you next week.